Hello, my name is Gaun. I'm the head of product here at solo.io, and I want to talk to you about Gloo Mesh 2.0 and the roadmap going forward in Gloo Mesh 2.1. First, I want to give you a little bit of a business update over the past year. In the last SoloCon, we introduced Gloo Mesh 1.0. Since that time, we've added a whole slew of leadership from the Sdo community, Neeraj, Lynn, that have come on board. These are people that have been on the technical operating committee, the steering committee of Sdo, and have really guided Sdo and our key leadership. They're now here at Solo, telling us and communicating to us and building our products, and it's just great to have them here. We've also made a whole bunch of huge contributions to Sdo, the upstream community, the release cycles, and then we also have seen the latest and first analyst report come out around service mesh. Solo.io has been a leader in this space since the very beginning, and now we have the recognition from this analyst report from GigaOM. We are right in the middle in a leadership position ahead of everybody else. I want to give you a general update on product here at Solo. First, we have that Slack community. We have over 4.7 thousand users now in there to help you, our users. We, the product managers, are in there. I'm in there. I love hearing from you. I love getting DMs on how you're doing with the product or feedback on the product. It's great. We take that very seriously and make sure that all the feedback that you're giving us is considered when we actually build the new versions of the product. Secondly, we've done hundreds of releases this year since the last SoloCon. We're talking about, if you add up the GAs, the patch releases, the beta releases across all of our product lines, it's a dizzying array. I have to actually go and look up what version of the product we're on. 70 to 80% of the features that we're delivering, the issues that we address, come directly from the feedback of you, our users and customers. We take this very seriously. We triage over 200 issues a month that come from you, that come from the field engineers, that come from things that you put into GitHub. We understand the priority, we understand where it's coming from, we want to hear your pain points, we want to hear what you enjoy about the product, where you want us to improve. And so in the 2.0, you're going to see a lot of that feedback in there, and going forward in the 2.1, you're going to see the things that you asked for in that roadmap as well. And then over the past year, we've had 1,000 issues that we've addressed, both strategic and from you, our customers. And that's just an amazing amount of work from the engineering team. Just to orient ourselves at Solo.io, we have two main product lines. One is Gloo Edge. This is one of our API gateways. It's based on Envoy. It's one of our most mature and older products. And then we have Gloo Mesh, which is now in the 2.0 phase. This is our enterprise Istio offering. In that, we have a bunch of modules, including Developer Portal, GraphQL, WASM, Assembly Hub, and new ones coming out all the time. We, as a product team, like to deal directly with the customers. We're in meetings with customers all the time, every week. Sometimes when you have a project, we want to make sure that we understand exactly where you're going. We want to understand the issues that you need or the things that you need from engineering to get into the product, to meet your timelines, to meet your goals. And I wanted to give you an example of a slide that we often review with our customers on all the work that we do to show exactly what we're doing both on the engineering side and on the Slack and Exchange side, and then also on the training side of things. You are probably familiar with the OSI stack. This is a classical model of the networking layers from layer 1 to layer 7. You've heard a bunch of announcements here at SoloCon where we've announced eBPF features, we've announced GraphQL, we've announced a new version of Gloo Mesh, we've announced new API gateway features, and you're curious on how that all fits together. Well, it's really, the way that we think of it, all part of the application networking stack, and building that application networking stack with secure policies. So from layer 3 to layer 4, this is something that eBPF adds unique features. Layer 4 and above, this is something that you have uniqueness and feature, rich features in Istio. And then we even added a layer 8, which is the GraphQL layer, which we think actually, adds another layer above this and sort of aggregates this together and makes it easy for developers to use all the other layers below. So before we go into Gloo Mesh 2.1 and beyond, I wanted to also cover Gloo Mesh 2.0. And I'm going to invite Neeraj on to talk about the features. I know we did it in the keynote, but we wanted to have it in this session as well. Gloo Mesh 2.0 has deep foundational changes that allow us to address things that we heard from our users from the 1.x. You wanted multi-tenancy support. You wanted it to be easier to add new clusters without any reconfiguration. And you wanted to have fine-grained policy applied to this multi-tenancy. And this is something that we delivered in 2.0. And Neeraj, will you please come on board and introduce us to all the great features?
Thanks, Chris. Hello, everyone. I'm Neeraj Poddar, Head of Engineering here at Solo. The great thing about working at Solo is I get to work with excellent folks like Chris, who are amazing at understanding customers' requirements and use cases. And then we have an amazing engineering team, which can deliver and execute quickly and deliver value with quality to our customers. So as Chris mentioned, we are making foundational changes in 2.0, both in our architecture and APIs. To meet a great number of requirements for our customers, we are also focused on delivering tactical use cases so that we can say that Gloo Mesh 2.0 is the best service mesh platform out there in the market. So I'm very excited to show you all the amazing enhancements we have made along with the redesign of our API and architecture. So first off, we have added support for Sdo Lifecycle Management. What I mean by that is now you have high-level Gloo Mesh APIs available that you can use to automatically install and upgrade Istio for you in your cluster. This was a major requirement for many of our customers who did not want to take the burden and complexity of managing Istio themselves. So going forward, you don't have to deal with whether you have to install Istio using Helm, Istio-CTL, Istio Operator. It's all hidden away, and you can just use the Gloo Mesh APIs to do the job for you. Moving on, in 2.1 and 2.2, we will even provide support to take over your existing Istio installation. So many of our customers already have installed Istio, but I'm sure they would want to get simplicity in the environment and use the Gloo Mesh APIs. So it will allow you to move from existing Istio installation to using the Istio Lifecycle Management APIs from Gloo Mesh. We have made a lot of API changes in 2.0 to ensure we add multi-tenancy. And one of the core principles of providing multi-tenancy in our system is through the concept of workspaces. So I'm going to show you next very briefly what workspaces are and how they enable you to get multi-tenancy in Gloo Mesh 2.0. We have been adding and continuously improving high availability and scalability in our system. In 2.0, I'm very excited to say we have support so that you can scale out your Gloo Mesh agents running in your workload cluster. So as your services scale in one cluster, you can scale out your agents. So that will make sure that the metrics and the logs that they are collecting from your services, they all can be sent reliably to the management plane. Moving on, we have also added the capability of scaling out the Gloo Mesh management plane that allows you to go beyond to go at a scale of multiple clusters from tens to hundreds of clusters. And you can make sure if you scale the Gloo Mesh control plane correctly, you have the right reliability, you still have the same performance, and you get the centralized configuration, security, and visibility, all with a single pane of glass. We are going to continue our work for high availability. In future releases, we are going to even add support for HA beyond one region, so you have more reliability in the critical Gloo Mesh management plane cluster. We have made huge enhancements in the UI. I'm very excited to share. We have a brand new UI, which is oriented around our 2.0 APIs and concepts like workspaces. I'll briefly show you some of the designs and pages we have, and I'm very excited to share that work with you all. We have been making incremental progress in observability in order to surface the most important things for our users, and we'll continue to do so in future releases. Another aspect which was very important for our customers, was to make sure that Gloo Mesh natively supports virtual machines. Many of our customers have legacy applications running in VMs that they are migrating to Kubernetes, or they might never migrate to Kubernetes, depending on the complexity of the legacy app itself. So what we provide now is a simplified one-stop command, which you can use to onboard your virtual machine to the Gloo Mesh and the Istio control plane. Basically, after using your command, your virtual machine will have the right files, it has the right configuration and the right binaries so that it can be part of your mesh. You're going to continue our support here for virtual machine integration. In future release, you'll get things like adding policies for virtual machine from the Gloo Mesh APIs and being able to observe what's happening in terms of traffic management and in terms of requests coming in and out of virtual machines and the metrics all through the Gloo Mesh dashboard and UI. And we continue support to make sure the Gloo Mesh gateways are having the same filters and parity with the Gloo Edge. We'll continue to do so in future releases too. Like I was saying, we have added the concept of workspaces in Gloo Mesh 2.0. Workspaces are the key logical boundary for a team or an application. They are the building blocks for multi-tenancy in the Gloo Mesh product. Basically, in a workspace, you get strong isolation guarantees for configuration and service and traffic management. All the configuration that you apply in workspace cannot affect another workspace. At the same time, by default, you can configure it so that only services within one workspace can talk to each other. So with this concept, where a workspace spans multiple namespaces across one or different clusters, you can draw a boundary for your applications team and easily and safely and securely onboard them to the Gloo Mesh platform. At the end of the day, this is simplifying your user experience for a single cluster or a multi-cluster setup because we have added very flexible label-based selections. So once you have set up your workspace, when you expand from one cluster to multiple clusters, the label selection and the management plane dynamically discovers it via those label selections, and then you don't have to change them anymore. So you have the same experience whether your application is sitting in one cluster or it has moved from single cluster to a multi-cluster environment. Like I said, there are lots of benefits of workspaces. I'm really excited that we have it in our product, and I look forward to getting feedback from you all. So you get strong multi-tenancy guarantees. You can have cross-cluster application deployments without any of the naming restrictions. We have optimized the data plane resource consumption. Particularly, this is important for customers where their clusters have large number of services and deployments. What that leads to is Istio automatically configuring the sidecars for communication throughout the cluster, causing a lot of CPU and memory overhead. With the concept of workspaces, because we know your imports and exports and your service connectivity, we automatically create the sidecar resources. This drastically reduces your memory consumption and make sure that all the sidecars are minimal and they have the perfect amount of memory that they need, not more, not less. We also have added the capability so that you can now create Gloo Mesh resources in any cluster, in any workspace, in any namespace. You're not constrained to creating it on the management cluster. And the workspaces give us a better way of organizing and the data in dashboard and scaling overall. So I'm very excited that we have this support, and I look forward to a feedback and look forward to seeing how customers will build advanced use cases on top of workspaces. So like I was saying, we have a brand new UI, and this is what the login page looks like. You can sign into the UI through and integrate it with a single sign-on through your LDAP or your OIDC systems. Once you log in, you will see the screen, which gives you an overview of the different workspaces and clusters you have in your environment. And this is the top level page that summarizes workspaces for the number of clusters, namespaces, and gateways you have. You can drill down and look at your import and export dependencies, the number of destination and policies. And once you click more details, you get to this page, which has all the information that is relevant to a particular workspace. You can see your destinations, you can see the routes, you can see the policies. Basically, all the Gloo Mesh resources that you would like to have that is attached to one workspace is visible right here in one spot. And we have significantly made changes in our graph to make it more usable. At the same time, we organize that around workspaces, which makes it more scalable. So in here, you can see that the bookstore workspace is communicating with the pet store workspace, and all the services are logically divided in that neat workspace boundary. Thank you.
Thanks, Neeraj. Now let's get into the 2.1 roadmap. There's a lot of stuff that we delivered in the 2.0. And you're going to see a lot of stuff on this slide in the 2.1. We have a team of engineers, an army of engineers ready to take this on. First and foremost, our customer requests, RFEs that we're getting from you, our users. This is, again, extremely important. We triage hundreds of issues per week that are coming from you. Secondly is the Sdo Lifecycle Management. We did part of this in the 2.0. We have the ability to upgrade Istio with Gloo Mesh. We have the ability to install Istio with Gloo Mesh. We want the ability to also take over brownfield Istio. When we're walking into a new user, you often have Istio set up, and we wanted to be able to take over the lifecycle management of that brownfield Istio instance within Gloo Mesh, replace it with our images so that you could get all the goodness, all the long-term support of Istio right there in your cluster. We've also wanted to add GraphQL to Gloo Mesh. We did an excellent job of adding that to Gloo Edge, and we're not stopping there. We're going to now add that to Gloo Mesh and Gloo Mesh Gateway. There's going to be not major API changes, but since we made a large change in the API, there's some cleanup work, there's some additional refinement that we're going to do in the 2.1 as well. We're going to get feedback from you. We're going to address that as we move forward. And then one other thing that we're doing is we did high availability partly in the 2.0, right? We added scaling ability for high availability where you could actually have more instances of the management plane, like classic high availability that you would have in etcd or the Kubernetes control plane or the Istio control plane. We want to have active high availability between clusters in the management plane as well. We've had users that want to run Gloo Mesh across multiple regions, across multiple data centers in an active mode. And this is something that we were going to work on in the 2.1. Next, we've added a bunch of observability improvements in the 2.0, as you saw. The animation, some of this is cosmetic, like the animations, the ability to see the latency with those animations, the crawling ants, I love it. The MTLS logo, the ability to move nodes and clusters, it's all wonderful. We want to not stop there. We want to add more features, more capabilities to observability, including seeing your virtual machines in the graph, TCP traffic, the ability to see eBPF within that graph. We're just going to keep on improving upon it. I mean, it's a world-class feature right now, and we're not going to stop. Next, we're going to talk about breaking glass. This is a common request that we got from you, our user. A lot of you are using Istio today, and you like our API, you like the value that we're bringing with Gloo Mesh, but our API is not going to ever replicate everything that you would do in Istio. And furthermore, you will sometimes have set up a process or you're using the Istio resources directly, and you want to continue to do that. The break glass solution that we are building will enable you to, if you're using the Istio resources, continue to do that. Essentially, breaking the glass and the ability to use the Istio API directly. Next, let's talk about virtual machines. You saw some virtual machine features in the 2.0. Namely, we're able to configure the virtual machine. This is important to you, our user, because you don't want to go through the 20 steps to do this in a manual method. You just want a single command line where you get the configuration so that you could put the sidecar in so that you could get discovery. We have more to do here though. We want to make it super easy to bring the mesh to those virtual machines, to your legacy workloads that will not move to Kubernetes. So the next thing that we're going to do is make it very easy to put the sidecar on those virtual machines. And you might say, well, isn't that easy already? But if you have thousands of virtual machines, we want to automate that across your entire infrastructure. Next, What we want to do is take that virtual machine and be able to apply the Gloo Mesh policies and have the ability to see that virtual machine in the observability platform that we have built. Next, I want to talk about the UI. The UI, man, that is great. I love it. It looks so fresh. It looks so enterprisey, if that's a word. It has a left-hand side menu. It's very easy to find things. I love it. It's just so great. A big shout out to the team of all the hard work they did there. But we're not going to stop there. We want to add the ability, and we've heard this from a lot of users, to have write capabilities. Right now, the UI is read-only. We want to be able for you to actually change the configuration directly in the UI. This will make it easier for new users to get on board, to learn about Gloo Mesh, to learn about Istio, and for other users who never actually want to learn about Istio, to make just simple changes within the UI itself. Now I want to talk about Gloo Mesh Gateway. We've delivered a whole bunch of features to get parity between Gloo Edge and Gloo Mesh Gateway. If you're using Istio, Gloo Mesh Gateway is often the first choice for using an API gateway. We're going to add egress to the platform as well. This is a common request from you, user. This is very straightforward. It's just adding egress. Very important to our use cases. Next, we want to add the portal capabilities. We built an excellent developer portal that's highly utilized in Gloo Edge. We want to build that in Gloo Mesh as well. Now, this is a little bit nuanced. We have a lot of the API management features that are going to come to Workspaces, the ability to put your APIs in there and manage those and share those with different teams. But there's another level, right? You want to be able to share your APIs, that catalog of APIs, to external users, to partners, to northbound traffic. And this is where the developer portal comes in. So we're going to bring that to Gloo Mesh as well. And lastly, there is the stuff that is currently being worked on in the CTO office, like adding eBPF network policies and other eBPF features, as well as proxy placement. And we're going to hear more about that from Edith. Here's a slide to show the big picture of how we're adding eBPF to our current Istio support within Gloo Mesh. You're going to see that in partly in the 2.0 as well as in the 2.1. And then here's a slide to show the active management on the high availability that we're working on right now. Now I want to go into a little bit more detail on Gloo Mesh Gateway, where we are and where we're going. First off, why did we build Gloo Mesh Gateway? We already have an API gateway. That's an Envoy. It's used by hundreds of users, thousands of users, hundreds of customers. Why build this in Gloo Mesh itself? Well, first and foremost, some of our users just wanted one management plane. They wanted to not have a separate control plane for their API gateway. They just wanted to have those features in Gloo Mesh itself. Also, a lot of users wanted to have what you would probably call Istio native API gateway. So all those API gateway features built into the Istio ingress itself. And also we had users that, liked the API gateway features and thought they were getting all of that with Istio. And there is some overlap. You could see in this slide, MTLS and some of the other features, you do get that with Istio out of the box. But taking those basic building blocks that are in Istio and building an enterprise API gateway is a monumental task. There's a large mountain that you would need to climb in order to get the federation, to get the external authorization and authentication, and build a complete product. And so this is what we wanted to do, and this is what we've done with Gloo Mesh Gateway in Gloo Mesh. And we're going to continue adding features here as well. Here is a slide to show you the architecture of Gloo Edge, just to make it simplified on what the differences are between Gloo Edge and Gloo Mesh Gateway and the things that we still need to build there. One of the things that we need to improve upon are the filters that are not yet in Gloo Mesh Gateway. This includes data loss prevention. This includes the web application firewall. This includes the Lambda filters that we built. that have enabled users to move easily from AWS API Gateway and just put in Gloo Edge Gateway as a very simple and easy replacement. We have customers that are completely wholesale moving 50 or more teams from AWS API Gateway to our API Gateway because we have the EC2 support, because we have the Lambda support, and obviously we have support for services on Kubernetes. The next thing that we need to improve upon, and I mentioned this a little while ago and a few slides back, is that we have excellent support for services on Kubernetes. But as you saw in the last example with replacing AWS API Gateway, a lot of services that you, our customers and users, have are not on Kubernetes. They're on VMs, they're on EC2, they're on Lambda. We have customers where 60 to 80% of the services in their organization are on Lambda. And we need to build that support in Gloo Mesh Gateway. So you're going to see that in the 2.1 and the 2.2 and versions going forward. Again, thanks for joining me on this roadmap session. Thanks for being with us since the 1.0 and this whole journey. It's been excellent. I love being the product manager here. I love working with the team here, the engineers, the deep Istio expertise that we have here, people like Neeraj, people like Christian, people like Edith. It just is amazing. And we keep on continually improving upon the products, even if it means moving to a 2.0, even if it means big API changes. As long as it's the right thing to do for our users, you're going to see us do that at Solo. Thank you.